Hey guys, I'm Kylie,
And I'm Kat.
and welcome to True Crime.
Where two girls discuss one crime at a time.
Today we're discussing the case of Janice Hartman, also known as the Lady in the Box. The Lady in the Box? Can we discuss that for a second?
Yeah, that is an interesting name.
Like, we couldn't have given her something more respectful, more
Right.
elegant? Like,
No, she's just the lady in the box.
that just rattles me the wrong way.
It's very inconsiderate.
I agree, but let's get into the case for today. The Lady in the Box refers to the unidentified remains of a woman who was found dismembered in a box in 1979. Wow.
What do you mean by dismembered? Completely?
Not completely. She had been cut off at the end of her knee. So her
Okay.
shins.
Okay.
The woman, also known as Janice Hartman, had gotten married to John David Smith on June 30th in 1970. I got my speculations on that 9 years before, you know? But
Yeah.
let's get into Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Janice and John were fresh out of high school, both aged 19, when they got married. After an elopement and a few years of living in Detroit, the couple had returned to a small town in Ohio. Janice had worked as a go-go dancer, as well as some police informant about some drug-related crimes that had happened.
Okay. So, was she doing the drugs or selling them?
There's no information on that. I guess the police haven't put that into the case.
That makes sense because it was so long ago.
Yeah, I guess it kind of just got swept under the rug. Not really cared about. But a little bit later, after about 4 years, according to some court documents, the couple's divorce, when they got divorced, had been instigated after Janice suffered an alleged attempted rape.
Oh.
Yeah. And during that entire marriage, Janice's family had feared for her safety after noticing bruising on her arms and face.
Did her parents notify anyone about the abuse?
No, there was the only thing that they had were some interviews from Janice's brother, Gary Hartman, which had, but he didn't come in, nothing to police, but to the media. But that was only following her disappearance. He only came forward and said this stuff after her disappearance.
Okay.
He kind of explained her ex-husband, John, to kind of be like an odd duck. And the marriage never made sense to them, why they were together, things like that. Gary had also referred to his sister's then husband as a foul-mouthed and hot-tempered person.
So it was known that he was a bad person.
Yeah, the entire family had bad feeling about him from the start.
Okay.
Before the interviews, a missing persons report had been filed by John 2 days after Janice's disappearance.
Wait, so he filed Janice's disappearance?
Yes, not the family, not the brother, nobody. John did.
Okay.
And in the missing persons report, John referred to Janice as his wife rather than ex-wife.
So, where was she last seen?
She was last seen at the Sun Valley Inn, which is a local place for a lot of newly divorced couples to go to. It's a cheap local inn that you can stay at until you figure things out.
Okay, so a little motel.
Yeah. His story was backed up by a witness. Her name is Kathy, who was present with him when he had made the report and confirmed that Janice had been at the Sun Valley Inn and that Janice had dropped her off at home before leaving with another occupant of her vehicle, a stocky man with a mustache. That's the only description we have of him.
So, was he actually there, or was that just a made-up lie?
My suspicions is maybe that did happen, but not at the time that John is saying it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
So John had also reported that she was wearing her engagement and wedding ring and a diamond watch when he last saw her.
I'm assuming that this was their wedding ring, correct? Like
Yes.
John's and Janice's relationship.
Yes.
I wonder if like maybe she was like gonna go like pawn it off.
Maybe. Maybe she was like, I want this away from me. I don't want this anymore, so I'm gonna go sell it off and get some money.
That's the only thing I could see.
He had also claimed that she had left her beloved Mustang car at his trailer, despite having moved out several days before. My speculation, and what makes the most sense, is she would have had to have returned home in the earlier hours of November 18th and left when he awoke.
And
But
maybe that's like whenever she grabbed the diamond watch.
right,
Like she was like walking around and she was like, I need money. Like maybe she was even thinking about selling the Mustang.
right, exactly. John had also later told his kind of late wife, or not wife, I'm sorry, girlfriend at the time in 1975, that Janice had begun hanging around the wrong people and using drugs, and that he believed she had been killed by a drug dealer whom she owed money to.
Okay, so she was doing drugs.
Maybe. Once again, there's no confirmation of any of that. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe not. Maybe she was doing the drugs to get, the pain and the sadness away.
Especially if she was being abused in her
Exactly.
relationship.
Exactly. He had also later told he got a telephone call from people involved in her murder a few days after she went missing, leading him to the body.
Okay, wait. So he got a phone call from the murderers telling him, go to this place at this time and you'll find a body?
Basically, yeah.
And he didn't think that, like, correct me if I'm wrong, are you able to trace telephone numbers?
I think so. I think that was a new thing.
Because, like, they would call into, like, like, you couldn't call anyone. You had to call the, like, telestation or whatever it was.
Right.
And then you would have to tell them the number.
Mm-hmm.
So they totally could have traced that back.
And they would have X-nated that and been like, okay, this is now a crime scene, but none of that was taken into consideration at the time that they were discussing her case. But when John had gone to the location that they supposedly gave him, he had expressed that he saw no trauma or cause of death to her body, and that he removed the engagement and wedding ring before leaving and deciding against reporting her body.
So wait, her body was just there.
Yeah, he just left it in this undisclosed location.
And then randomly it popped up in a box with the limbs cut off?
Yep.
Well, her shins?
Yeah.
Okay, this is not adding up at all.
His story made no sense, and it still makes no sense.
Yeah, that really actually makes zero sense at all.
Right. Now, getting a little bit deeper into her disappearance and some little details, Smith's brother, Michael, had claimed to see John making a narrow box.
Where was he making this box at?
The garage. Just
Okay.
randomly one day making a narrow box in the garage.
So was it like a little box, a big box?
Oh no, it was a coffin style box.
Okay, so it was a bigger box. Okay.
Yeah, but John had claimed it was for her belongings.
Oh, like a little like chest kind of.
Yeah, kind of. But in 1979, their grandfather discovered the box and had called Michael, who had found a dismembered body with rainbow hair inside.
Wait, she had rainbow hair?
No. At first, when I was reading this case, I thought that the rainbow hair was like a way to mask who she actually was, because they go off of hair a lot. So
Might like hide
maybe,
her identity.
yeah, exactly. But that's not the case. The actual case for that is the dye from her clothes were bleeding onto her body and her hair, which kind of turned her hair that rainbow color.
Okay. What did she look like? Was she tall, petite?
She was pretty petite. She was 5'2", lean. She had what I've seen, it seems to be like a dirty blonde, maybe a lighter dirty blonde hair,
Okay.
brown or green eyes. She had a lighter color eye. Very beautiful. Gotta add that. Very pretty.
I've
But
seen pictures of her too, and she was definitely
yes,
stunning.
yes, exactly. It's always the pretty girls.
It is a shame, yeah.
Oh, yeah. After Michael had opened the box and observed what he saw, he believed what he saw was Janice's remains.
So he thought that it was Janice.
Yes.
Okay.
He kind of put everything together and he was like, this makes sense, you know? But what got me is he told John what he found in the box. And John had ended up taking the box. But neither the grandfather nor Michael had reported this to the authorities.
Was Michael Janice's family or John's family?
John's family. It was John's brother.
That is very strange because I know like family's family, but like if I found my brother with human remains, I would report that.
It's crazy that they didn't report it. Like, someone really had the nerve to be like, oh, this is someone's missing daughter, missing sister, and we're just not going to report it.
That makes me feel like they had to have known or that they were so fucked up in the head.
Right.
Like they had to. Okay, interesting.
But in 1980, her remains were found off of a northwestern highway in a field in Indiana. At that time, the skeleton was known as the Lady in the Box.
Okay, so there was no lead.
No lead, nothing.
Nothing at all. Okay, so like,
Zero.
okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Now, we're up into 1990. So this is about 10 years of her body just being
Being
missing.
the lady in the box.
Exactly. Like, nothing found on her, nothing.
Okay.
John had remarried to his second wife, Betty Fran Gladden Smith. There is not much information about her. Nothing really even about like her case either. The only things that are out there is they got married in March of 1990.
Mm-hmm.
She was confined to her home due to an injury.
What injury?
It didn't say. There was
Okay.
like nothing on any of this.
What I'm assuming if it's an injury and like you're being confined to your house, probably like either a back injury or maybe a leg injury.
Right, like something that is preventing her from walking.
Yeah.
But later, it was reported that she had gone missing from Windsor, New Jersey on October 4th, 1991.
Oh my god. So he's just marrying people and killing them.
Pretty much. And to this day, the day that we are in, her body has yet to be found.
So hers is just a rotten cold case.
Basically, yeah. They say that there's no lead, things like that. It's just crazy.
She just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Pretty much. I guess that's what they're saying.
That's so sad. I mean, to think that, like, John is just, like, doing this. Who knows, like, who he even did it to? Because, I mean, he could have done it to other people that he wasn't married to.
Right? Not much happened that 10 years, 10 years after she went missing. But Smith was later arrested in October of 2000 in California, where he lived with his third wife.
So he was already on to the next one.
Yep, he just says, okay, I'm done with you. You're gone, so I'm gonna go to somebody else.
Except he makes them gone.
Exactly. Like
forever.
he forces them to be gone. Luckily,
What's his third wife's name?
There is no information on that third wife. I am pretty sure that she asked to remain anonymous from this entire case.
Okay.
But luckily, he was convicted for the murder of Janice Hartman in July of 2001. He was sentenced to 15 to life without parole.
Okay.
In 2002, he unsuccessfully appealed the conviction.
So he wanted to get out?
Yeah, he basically said, I didn't do this.
Wait, did he plead guilty or not guilty?
He pleaded insanity.
Okay.
Because as of 2019, he remains locked up at the Marion Correctional Institution.
So I'm assuming he was diagnosed with like mental disorders then.
He was diagnosed with a brain injury in 1991, but nothing during the time that he had murdered Janice. But
So that wouldn't be a mental thing though, because unless if
exactly
maybe he had it before and he was just diagnosed in 1991.
right. And there's really no information. The only information that we have is he pleaded insanity and he could not stand in court. At this time in 2019, he figured out on November 19th that he had been indicated for the 1991 murder of Gladden Smith. 2 years later, roughly, around 2021, a judge ruled that the fact Smith had already been convicted for the murder of his first wife, it wouldn't be a motive for murdering his second wife. So the case was dropped in 2023.
So the fact that he killed one wife means that he can't kill another wife?
Pretty much.
I mean, I feel like it's the opposite. If you can
Exactly.
kill one person, you can kill 10.
Exactly. You have the guts to kill one person, you're gonna do it again.
And put them in a box and chop their shins off? Yeah.
You definitely could.
And that is not caused by a mental disorder.
Exactly. Like, that's just you're playing cold-hearted.
Yeah.
But it was reported that Smith had admitted to disposing of Gladden Smith's body. He didn't admit to the murder, but he admitted to disposing of it. I think with that confession, he should at the very least, be charged with tampering with evidence.
Yeah. Because her body was never found, correct?
Correct.
He knows where that body is because he said that he disposed of it, right?
Exactly.
So that's your lead.
Exactly. That is, you now have a lead, so interrogate him. Find out where the body is. You know what I mean?
So weird that they would just like let him off the hook, basically.
Right. Like they're just like, oh, well, you already got 15 to life, so I guess that you can just, you know.
Like you're gonna be in jail anyways.
Maybe.
Or I guess the correction institution.
He's eligible for parole in 2029 for some reason.
Like he can get out?
Possibly. Or he can get his sentence shortened instead of 15 to life, maybe 29 years, something like that, you know?
I feel like since her case is known, there is a very low chance of him getting out.
Oh yeah, the public would go crazy if he got out.
That's like the Selena girl.
Right.
Like people would go insane if he was out, and his name is so known that, to be frank, I don't think he would make it very far in the real world.
Right, like he would not.
And he's very old, isn't he? He's what? He got married in 1970, so he must have been at least 18 in the 1970s.
He'd be in his 70s right now if he was like 19 out of college, married to her in the 1970s. Yeah, he's definitely a lot older. So even if he did get out, even if people didn't get to him, he's not going to live very long.
Yeah, that is very true. Especially with if he does have a brain injury.
I don't
Very
know.
interesting case.
I don't think
And very sad at the same time.
it is very sad with what she went through, how he was. Like,
I mean, the fact that, like, obviously, Janice got a little bit of justice in this situation, but Betty did not.
Betty's got nothing. Like, they're just letting that just, like, a little swept under the rug, whatever.
I wonder if, actually, if Betty tried leaving and he got mad and killed her.
Maybe, because that's what happened with Janice. She
Right,
divorced
like,
him, and
yeah,
he said, if you're not going to be with me, then you're not going to
not gonna be
be
with
here.
anyone. Yeah.
And that's so crazy and so fucked up. Like,
Yeah, it really is. It
it's
is really disheartening.
like, I am so glad that, Janice got, she's now able to be laid to rest with her name, back to her, not as
Mhm.
the lady in the box.
Right.
But Gladden, or Betty Gladden Smith, sorry, she can't
She
even be
never got
laid to
justice.
she can't even be laid to rest properly because we don't know where her body is. No one does, except for the man
But you
behind the
know,
bars.
I was literally just gonna say, but you know who does?
Exactly. You know who does? The man who's rotting in jail.
And the fact that they know that he knows,
But they won't do anything.
but they don't.
They just don't care.
Shouldn't you want to solve the cold cases, not keep them cold?
Exactly. And if I was a detective on this, I would have immediately after his confession to that, I would have opened it right back up and been like, all right, so what do you know?
Get an interrogator in that room right now.
Exactly. Let's figure this out. It is so sad and it makes me so sick how people think. You know?
Also, the fact that no one reported that they saw the body in the
Right.
box. 2 people knew of it and didn't report it.
Right. Like
At the least.
now imagine having to take that to your grave.
Yeah.
You just lied and didn't report a dismembered body in a
Mhm.
makeshift coffin.
That you thought was someone who went missing.
And you just said, eh, whatever.
I'm
Crazy.
speechless. I truly am speechless. I'm disappointed.
Right. I'm disappointed in our justice system.
Exactly. I mean, 2021, that was 4 years ago.
Exactly. And we're still sweeping cold cases just under the rug? Really?
Whenever you have a lead,
Exactly. Especially in 2023, which was 2 years ago. When they figured out in 2023, that's when he admitted to it. It was closed, and then a couple weeks later he admitted to it.
right.
So you're saying 2 years ago.
Yeah. It really is a shame.
Well, I think this is a good place to end.
I sadly agree.
Yeah.
I wish we could leave it off with
With a
that
happier note.
Betty got justice, but sadly she did not.
I know, I wish I could leave off with that too, but it's not our choice, I guess.
That is very true.
And this has been True Crime. I'm Kylie.
And I'm Kat. Tune in every Wednesday and Saturday for new episodes of True Crime. Hope you enjoyed.
Bye!